you all for coming. We're going to start tonight with a brief moment of reflection. Thank you. Now we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have some people to lead us.
Oh, way to go, people. Okay.
Right in view. We need the kids.
I just want to try and get the
These are
kids.
some of our students from Fifth Street Elementary. Is that right?
Try and get them. Thank you, thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much.
Wow. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I now call this meeting to order. All ordinary council present. Next, we
Trying to get the kids.
need to approve the agenda. Mr. Thompson, are there any changes to the agenda?
I want to scratch the superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda with the superintendent's recommendation taken off? Motion by Mr. Long. Second by Mr. McGee. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The agenda is approved. Next, we have the approval of minutes. Mr. Thompson?
We ask that you approve the minutes as presented from September 9th.
Motion by Mrs. Staley. Second by Mr. Long. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? And the minutes are approved. Next, we have superintendent comments. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Well, first of all, Frank, I'd like to thank you for being here tonight. For those of you in the audience that don't realize, we established a relationship with the city of Anderson 1 year ago, providing them equipment from the Wigwam that was not being used so we could develop our own TV studio. And the city went to work and was able to establish that right away. And since then, we've been able to secure Channel 18 from your local cable TV and UVerse 99, in which this meeting will be played back. And I don't know what date. Do you know what date it'll be played?
No.
Okay. But we thank you for being here, and we thank you, the mayor, and Pete, everybody for the continued collaboration. So thank you very much. Graduation date for all those that are interested in that is going to be June 6th at 11 a.m. June 6th, 11 a.m. Last day of school is set for June 3rd. That'll be a very, very quick turnaround. At this time, I would like to recognize and thank our schools administrators for all the dedication and extra time they put in. So I'm going to call your name, and I know it's kind of difficult for you to come up, so I'm not going to ask you to do that tonight. We do have a reception following this meeting for you in the boardroom, in which we'll present the certificates we have for you. But I do want to show you that our new logo is on license plates, so we're going to continue the PR bus tour, making sure everybody knows who we are and what we stand for in the new logo. So principals, you will all receive one of these at the reception this evening. But I do want to tell you who they are, so I don't know if you were able to get in the room. So principals, when I call your name, would you just stand? And at the end, if you would, give them a round of applause. This is National Principals Month. So first, Ms. Shelley Wagner, Principal Southview Preschool. Just please stand with you, Shelley. Mrs. Sharon Buchanan, Kilbuck Kindergarten Center. Mr. Matthew Goen, Principal of Anderson Elementary. Dr. Val Scott, Principal of Eastside Elementary. Mrs. Judy Schaefer, principal of Edgewood Elementary. Mr. Scott Merkel, principal of Erskine Elementary. And Mrs. Yvonne Ritchie, principal of 10th Street Elementary. Mrs. Jan Kinniger, principal of Valley Grove Elementary. Ms. Leah Maxey, assistant principal, HMS. Mr. Eric Davis, assistant principal of Highland Middle School. You don't know, Eric's all the way in the back over here. Mr. Jason Stecker, assistant principal, Highland Middle School. Mrs. Kelly Brewer, principal, Highland Middle School. Mr. David Tiarina, assistant principal, Anderson High School. Mr. Jeff Brandis, assistant principal, Anderson High School. And also in the back corner, Mr. Alex Brandon, principal of Anderson High School. Thank you very much. You may be seated. I would like to recognize Edgewood Elementary School. Edgewood was the Indiana Dairy Council State Yoke Contest winner. That's a mouthful. They did an incredible job, having a great time, bringing a lot of joy to that school, and it was worth it because over 7,000 votes were casted, and they came out the winner. So, Mrs. Schaefer, on Friday there will be a special treat for your staff, students. You're welcome. At this time, we're getting ready to kick off our United Way campaign. So, Ms. Fredericks, you're in charge of that. Do you mind saying what we're going to be doing?
Certainly.
Give her a mic. Wait a minute, you gotta have a mic.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. The United Way campaign will kick off at Anderson Community Schools starting Monday, October the 27th, and we will start off with a $2 donation, and you can wear blue jeans on that day. So principals, you'll be receiving all of your materials on Friday. And just a couple of tidbits in regards to the United Way program. The money donated stays in Madison County, and it serves all of Madison County. So please try to give what you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fredericks. I know that's uncomfortable for you to do, and next young lady, I know it's uncomfortable, and you know, I didn't anticipate 100 people being in the room. Kelly Tumulty came to us about 10 days ago with an incredible idea to help again with some community efforts. So I've asked her to come forward and explain her fantastic idea, and I believe you have some special people with you, Kelly.
I do, I have words. I'm Kelly.
You have to eat the mic.
You can take it out if you want. You can take it out.
I'm Kelly. This is Jacob and Samantha Edgerson from Erskine. Brooklyn, Callie King from Eastside. And this is Trey King from Highland. These are my friends. They're helping me in our new event called Project Thanks. And Project Thanks, and what it is November the 7th. I need to put it back a little bit. It's November the 7th. It lasts for 3 Fridays. And what it is we are going to try to conquer hunger in Anderson, Indiana. We're going to start within our schools, and then we're going to try to conquer it within our food pantries within Anderson, Indiana. So what we're going to do is have a little fun in the meantime. We're going to wear blue jeans with our red and our green spirit wears for 3 Fridays in a row. It starts November the 7th, and it goes through Thanksgiving. And they are modeling their attire tonight for me. It costs $1 or a can of food or a box of food to do this each Friday. And we know that some of the kids don't have a can of food or they don't have a box of food. So if you're lucky enough to have an extra can, maybe you could bring some for someone else and give it to them so they can participate too. I talked to Second Harvest, which is our food pantry. They told me that they have never had such bare shelves, which is kind of really sad because some of our students eat off of those shelves. So I think between 7,178 students that are enrolled today and 1,000 employees, we should be able to really, really knock it out of the park. So I think we should all band together on this and come through with a big hit. Plus, we wear blue jeans, right?
Thank you, students, for being here. We appreciate it. There's a great picture of them. They had a lot of fun over fall break, making sure that we got some good PR out there. So thank you, Ms. Tumulty. Now, before I go on, I would be remiss, but this person is going to get their own recognition because I failed to mention one of our most important principals in the district. As everybody knows, the District 26 Career Center is vital for the growth of this school corporation. And the young lady leading that effort is Miss Julie Morse. Julie? Thank you, Julie. I really did overlook your name.
It's okay.
At this time, we presented some perfect ISTEP scores, probably last month or the month before, and we overlooked someone. So, and I think Miss Ritchie wasn't feeling well that night, so we have a special recognition. So, Miss Ritchie, would you like to do that?
Unfortunately, I left one very special girl off the list, Rebecca Belt, who got a perfect score on math and ISTEP. I want you to come on.
Thank you very much. That's really impressive.
I am so glad you didn't fall, Miss Ritchie. It's good to laugh. It's okay. I know that Mrs. Granger couldn't be with us, so I believe Mrs. Moran, you have a special presentation.
I know that the director of the Anderson Education Foundation would have liked to have been here to give this recognition and this money this evening. However, she has an ailing mother, and so our thoughts are with her this evening. As you know, we just had a logo contest in Anderson Community Schools, and the Anderson Education Foundation decided to award 2 grants this evening in honor of Sally Miller for submitting the logo chosen by the Anderson Community Schools. The foundation exists solely to support educational excellence in our schools and districts, primarily through various classroom grants. Ms. Miller donated the logo design, as did the others who submitted designs for consideration. In recognition of Ms. Miller's generosity, the Anderson Education Foundation Board of Directors, whom I'm a sitting member, voted to award a $500 grant to the school corporation and a $500 grant to the school of Ms. Miller's choice, which would be Valley Grove Elementary School. In representing the Anderson Education Foundation, I am pleased to recognize Ms. Miller with this certificate and ask her to join me in presenting the grants to Valley Grove Principal Joanne Kenniger and Anderson Community School Superintendent Terry Thompson.
Those of you who know me that I usually don't speak from anything that's written, but I had 10 pages of notes, so I thought it'd be better if I just read through this to make sure that we stay focused. It's great to see so many people in the audience to help us celebrate the improvements of our school system. With the support of our school board, ACS schools have improved. I cannot share the details of our school grades because the State Board of Education embargoed our results until November, but I can tell you that 7 of our 8 schools are C or better, and we saw improvement in 2 of our 3 schools from last year. Only 1 school fell below the acceptable letter grade range. However, we have specific and intentional interventions in place, and we will see growth this year. As a school district, we improved overall in a letter grade. The iRead scores improved to 86% from 80%. Algebra ECA passing rates increased from 56% to 67% at the high school. English 10 improved 18%, going from 60 to 78%. The graduation rate is 90.7%, a much improved rate, which was below 70%. This is a very important statistic here. 97.5% of our minority population enrolled at Anderson High School graduated, or 80 of the 82 minority students, 48 female and 32 males, from Anderson High School last year. Suspension rates were down over 35%, and the expulsion rate was down 67%.
Wow.
Anderson High School offers more dual credits than any school in Madison County and East Central Indiana, with 22. And we offer 7 career pathways through District 26, our career campus. With all these great improvements, you can see why we are excited. Yet we have Goal 500, which will go into effect immediately to regain Anderson Community Schools students. So what are the issues? Student enrollment in Anderson Community Schools was over 20,000 in 1971. The enrollment is currently under 6,800, a 67% decline. When current general fund revenue based primarily on student enrollment, declining enrollment is a serious financial concern. Revenue per student in the Anderson Community Schools is approximately $6,600 per student. Using this as an example, if the 6 elementaries, the kindergarten center, the high school, and the middle school each lost 5 students, that would represent a total loss in revenue of over $300,000. Although closing underutilized buildings can result in cost savings, negative perceptions from parents who lose their neighborhood school can actually cause further declines in student enrollment with subsequent losses in revenue. Parents who don't want their children in a larger school in another neighborhood may decide to place their children in another school. So savings were certainly realized by the closing of buildings, but the loss of any student in response to those closing offsets some of the positives. Many factors have resulted in competition for students within the boundaries of any public school corporation in Indiana. There are 11 private schools in Madison County with attendance of 1,300 students. The largest percentage of those students resides within the boundaries of Anderson Community Schools. Revenue used by the state of Indiana to support voucher causes a significant loss of revenue to public schools. During the 13-14 school year, $15.7 million was lost by public schools, and the Anderson Community Schools lost their prorated share. The Anderson Community School Corporation is number 5 in the state in the percentage of students who could attend a school in our school district, but choose to use a school voucher. In 2013-14, we lost 504 students to this voucher system. That's over $3 million. Only Gary, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis Public Schools and South Bend have a higher percentage of potential students using a voucher to attend elsewhere other than Anderson Community Schools. I hope you understand our excitement for all the improvements, but you're not here to talk about students and improvement. You're here because you were told information that has never been mentioned by any board member or administrator in this district. That information given to the non-certified professionals was incorrect. You were told we wanted to end your contract and that we would outsource your jobs. For our certified staff, you have been incorrectly told we were going to terminate your contract so that we could fire veteran teachers and that you needed the protection of this contract. Protection is not needed. Excellent teaching, common sense, and caring about students is what is needed. We have excellent support or non-certified staff members that we rely upon to spread the good word about academic improvement and excellence in our schools. And just as importantly, you live in the community, and therefore you take great pride in your work and in these schools. So with this being said, please understand there has not been, nor will be any discussions about the non-certified contract or classified collective bargaining agreement. The CBA has an evergreen provision. That evergreen provision mandates that the CBA will continue until there is a mutual agreement by both parties upon a new collective bargaining agreement. As teachers, we want to be treated as professionals, and we would like to honor you that way as well, but we can only honor you with pay raises if you are categorized as an effective or highly effective teacher. Bottom line is this: we believe as a school district we need to be compliant with legislation. Indiana Code 20-8-11.5-4 states, and I quote, "All certificated employees must be evaluated annually." So bottom line, your current contract ends on December 31st, 2018. On January 1st, 2019, regardless of what you've been told, all certificated employees will be evaluated. So why would we wait till then when there are millions of dollars afforded priority schools such as some of ours, and all we need to do is become compliant with Indiana Code? Our original proposal was simply to comply with the law. We would sign off on a memorandum of understanding or agree in writing that reopening a portion, referring to evaluations, would not invalidate the collective bargaining agreement, better known to you as your contract. And in return, you would sign off on much needed school improvement grants. You are correct. We are not going to entertain adding 5 or 6 additional consulting teachers to our staff at a cost to the district of approximately $300,000 so they can observe and evaluate teachers. Administrators are trained to be instructional leaders, and one of the most important duties they have is to evaluate teachers. You stated incorrectly that it was our intent to move away from PAR, or Peer Assistance and Review, as an evaluating tool. PAR is one of the 4 state-approved evaluation instruments. Having PAR as a tool is an excellent resource. With our original proposal, no change would occur with PAR. PAR would be another layer of protection afforded every teacher if they needed to improve by having their own consulting teacher. If the Anderson Community School Corporation is going to grow and become vibrant, it is dependent on our schools. Businesses will come and go, but the backbone of any community is their school. People are not going to move to Anderson and put their students in our schools if they are not safe nor orderly, nor if they are graded, like it or not, below a B. So we must work diligently through public relations and improve our image, and the evaluation of ACS schools must be improved. This is why we have spent so much time and energy reopening District 26 Career Center. We have an obligation, moral and ethical, to have a program for all of our students, including students who have no desire to attend college or go to the military, but they deserve every opportunity to be successful residents of this community. Speaking of PR, this administration is going to work diligently to encourage families of this community to return to our schools. Dr. Cronk, if you would. This is one example of what we can currently do because our trucks and our vans move through our district every day. So what you see is a picture. Our principals chose one student or two from their school to be the faces of ACS. And that's a collaboration of that effort right there. And it says, Anderson Community Schools, where your student is our priority. My final thought, if you do not like it that this administration focuses on student success and growth rather than having an ongoing discussion about only what is best for adults, then you can continue to misinform the employees of this district. That I am committed to our students and our excellent educators and role models who develop relationships and focus on student growth. And we're not going to spend extra time dealing with the adults. That will come naturally through public relations. The reality of the situation is that in the future, we will begin bargaining wages and wage-related items, and so it would be best for everyone to improve communications, and we can stop playing the blame game and work together. It is a shame that over 20 professional teachers and support staff are not in attendance tonight. Why? Because they told me directly that they would be bullied and intimidated if they came forward to talk about all the great things going on in support of students, faculty, and staff in this district. If we received reports,
Excuse me, we're not going to allow any interruptions in the meeting tonight, so we're just going to get that out now. We're going to make sure that when someone is speaking, they're going to have the full attention and the respect that they deserve. Thank you.
so let me repeat that. Because they told me they would be bullied and intimidated if they came forward to talk about all the great things going on in support of students, faculty, and staff in this district. I want you to know, if we receive reports of inappropriate adult behavior, we will investigate each and every report and will take corrective action as facts are affirmed, only if facts are affirmed. Mr. Gale, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We move on now to board president's comments. I've asked Dr. Green to share a statement.
Thank you all for coming. I like Mr. Thompson, have some notes in front of me, so I would never intend, hopefully, to ramble, as Mrs. Stewart is inclined to accuse me at times. I have been honored to serve for these last 4 years. I love Anderson. I love our community. I appreciate and admire our teachers, our administrators greatly. I have a great deal of admiration for my colleagues that I've served with. And I am thankful that all of you would come out tonight, because it's obvious that all of us care about what goes on in Anderson and with our students. We love our students. We want our students to have the greatest opportunity for success. We may differ in the way we view that, or the way that process unfolds, but I would like to read this statement. The Anderson Community School Board would like to address the situation involving negotiations between Anderson Community School, or ACS Board, and the Anderson Federation of Teachers, or the AFT. Over the last 4 years, we've had really a collaborative relationship with the school board, the administration, and the AFT. On many issues, all the parties have agreed, at least to the general direction that's needed to be taken. There have been some issues that agreement may not have been possible, but at least we've been able to discuss them in a healthy manner, whether it be one-on-one or in the setting of a teacher's forum that have been held before the public. There's been unfortunately one issue that the AFT has refused to sit down and discuss in a healthy manner, and that is, as Mr. Thompson just referred, teacher evaluation. Due to changes in the state law, employee evaluation is not only expected, but it's mandated. It's the law. Beginning a few years ago, all of our administrators were required to be evaluated annually by their supervisor, as I am annually by mine. State law has several items that must be a part of an evaluation in order to be in compliance with the law. One of those requirements is that the evaluation of every teacher must be done annually. I would hope that all of you who are parents or teachers who love kids would want your family doctor, your pediatrician, to undergo regular evaluation. ACSC has not been required to evaluate teachers due to the previous board signing an 8-year contract on the eve of four newly elected board members being sworn in. This contract was not supported by the administration, nor was it supported by a significant number of teachers. The community rose up against this contract, which led to a landslide election in favor of 4 new board members. This contract was not only put into place with much controversy and questioning of legality, it also left the corporation in an almost impossible financial hole. And for those of you who can recollect, the board president at that time suggested that there may be no possibility of avoiding bankruptcy. The former AFT president retired with a $20,000 retirement bonus at that time, yet those still teaching were faced with pay cuts and decreases in benefits in order to save the corporation from bankruptcy and state takeover. During Dr. Chow's term as superintendent, he was made aware of a significant school improvement grant that would provide millions of dollars for our schools that were on priority status, as you've heard. The corporation met every requirement for this grant except for one. Since we did not have teacher evaluation plan in place that met the state guidelines, ACSC could not qualify for these millions of dollars. Dr. Chow contacted Tom Faulkner, AFT president, to request a meeting to see if any common ground could be found on this issue. Mr. Faulkner would not respond to Dr. Chow's request for a discussion on the issue. After Dr. Chow left, our interim superintendent, Dr. Edsel, again reached out to Mr. Faulkner to invite him to have a discussion on the issue as another opportunity to apply for this grant was approaching. Again, Mr. Faulkner would not even respond to a request for the conversation. Mr. Thompson, who was at that time AHS principal, also contacted Mr. Faulkner to try to schedule a time to meet to discuss the issue. Again, there was no response. This refusal to even respond to requests to have a casual conversation showed that on this particular issue, the AFT leadership was not willing to continue the collaborative relationship that has existed. The relationship between the board and the AFT is increasingly one-sided. While we strive to work with the AFT, we want to listen to the concerns. The AFT president was not willing to even entertain a conversation about an issue we believed important for our students. This left us with only one option, which was reopening the contract for formal negotiation. Once formal negotiations started, again, AFT leadership refused to have a conversation, even though Mr. Thompson offered to sign a memorandum of understanding not to reopen the contract, but in return require a memorandum of understanding signed by the AFT so we could make application for the millions of dollars available to priority or probationary schools. Immediately, the AFT leadership turned this into a legal issue by filing suit against the corporation in Madison County courts. When this did not win the immediate injunction that they sought, they turned to other methods to attempt to derail the conversation, which left us with only one option, which was to rescind our request to bargain on evaluation and now seek an amendment in the term of the contract. It is disheartening that members of the AFT leadership began spreading misinformation in order to create anger and fear among our teachers and support staff. It has come to our attention that members of AFT leadership attempted to speak for the board, saying we were planning to terminate different groups of employees. Hear me on this. This could not be further from the truth. There's been no discussion of such measures. And such measures would be reckless and illogical at a time when student achievement is on the rise and we're in a stable financial position. Why would we do that? These methods of deception and intimidation used by the AFT leadership are disgraceful. And as one teacher communicated, an embarrassment to the professional educators that the AFT is supposed to represent. These rumors that the AFT leadership started are damaging to the overall morale and damaging to our mission as a public school system. There are other reasons for the desire to find common ground on an evaluation system. Without annual evaluations, school boards cannot increase teacher compensation. It's our desire to pay our teachers well in order to reward them for the hard work and improvements, and also to make sure we're able to retain and attract the very best teachers for our students. According to the state law, and due to the confines of the current bargaining agreement, teachers at ACSC are not able to have their compensation increased. We also have two buildings that are on probation. Anderson High School, Highland Middle School cannot be removed from priority status due to state law unless there is an acceptable evaluation system in place for the teachers. If we wait until the current contract expires in 2018, these schools will not be removed from probation, no matter how well they are performing, until 2021. We believe these schools can and will be A or B schools. We believe the staff in these buildings can achieve this. We desire for our community to be proud of our schools and proud of the professionals working in our schools. This will not happen as long as those schools remain on probation. State law is clear on the subject of evaluation. We are only one of a few public corporations in the state of Indiana not in compliance with Indiana Code. We can wait until the contract expires in 2018, then we will be required by law to implement an annual evaluation system, or we can implement a system sooner, and all of us reap the rewards sooner. It appears that the AFT leadership is determined to put this document ahead of what seems best to us, for our students, community, even for our teachers. This board recognizes that change and uncertainty are difficult. This board also recognizes that remarkable improvements have occurred over the last few years and have taken a committed team of teachers, administrators, support staff, and board. This board understands that each team member should work with and build up other team members so we can continually improve and become stronger. Spreading fear and false rumors about the intentions of another team member cannot be tolerated for a healthy team to succeed. No one team member, nor can one team member refuse to consider and discuss the concerns of another team member. If we are to continue to succeed, this board asks for an end to the spreading of baseless rumors, bullying, and scare tactics. We must maintain a focus on always doing what is best for the students and not allowing one party's agenda to return us to the dysfunction that once was. Our community expects and demands and needs better than this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Next, we're going to move into the school showcase.
Most importantly, Mrs. Ritchie, we have some wonderful students here to share about all the great things going on at 10th Street.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to start out with introductions. This is 10th Street Elementary Showcase, and we soar to excellence. maybe. Okay, right again. Introductions. Ryan Barnett, this is in alphabetic order. If you'll just step out for a minute, it'll be very quick. Ryan Barnett. Next is Stayshawn Hamilton. Put that down, Stayshawn. We want to see your face. Okay, next is Connor King. Next is Cooper King. Thomas McCoy. Ashley Mendoza. Jemiah Sanford. And Braden Stevenson. Wait a minute. Okay, Jemiah and Connor.
Street Elementary is a school of learning communities where all students are engaged and challenged to achieve their personal best, where they can develop character and skills needed to be contributing members of the diverse society.
Thomas, Cooper, and Braden. Stand right here. Hold it. The Eagles great.
Responsible, trustworthy, fair, and we care.
Ryan, go ahead.
You hold it. 8-step process and success time. Students working with geoboards to form geometric shapes. Students drilling other students with math facts. Because of our teachers' hard work and the fun we have learning during success time, 10th Street went from a D school to an A school. Smart boards. We are very fortunate to have 20 smart boards our teachers use with us to help us learn. This is Mrs. Ettinger showing us how to use a protractor to measure angles and to classify them as acute, obtuse, right, or straight angles. Smile Bucks. We are Smile Bucks for good behavior or for something special we did as a good citizen of the school. SMILE stands for S, safety, M, manners, I, integrity, L, leadership, E, excellence. We use our Smile Bucks to buy things off the Smile Wagon. There are always school supplies on the Smile Wagon and some fun things too. Thanks to Bethany Christian Church, Santa came to 10th Street and gave each student 2 presents last year before break. Dr. Seuss' birthday is celebrated with a parade each year. Thank you, Ms. Dean, for keeping the Dr. Seuss tradition alive. cafeteria staff celebrates with us. Does anybody recognize these characters? These are our faces of 10th Street this year. Brayden Stevenson and Ashley Mendoza. Thank you for letting us showcase 10th Street Elementary School for you tonight.
I need the mic, Mrs. Richard.
I'm having a wonderful night. If you guys need to leave, you can, or you can go back and sit with us.
Students, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Mrs. Ritchie, here you go. These are certificates for each of your students, if you will give them out to them. We normally would have them come up. I think it's a little difficult to do that tonight. So one more round of applause for these kids. Mrs. Ritchie, I know that it's a school night and there's homework to be done. So how about if we excuse you? Okay. So when they leave, I know there's people in the back that would like to have some seats. If you want to go ahead and move forward, we'll go ahead and continue with our agenda.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Parent Advisory Council. Mrs. Slavin, are you? Yep, there you are.
All the cute kids. Great, okay. The first thing on my report, because I always, type up my report. I first want to say thank you on behalf of the ACS parents to Dr. Green, and he's enthralled by the little children. Thank you to Dr. Green for his service on our school board. You have brought the same integrity and care you give your patients to our students, and you've made a positive impact on them. The Parent Advisory Council continues to add value to ACS with our closed closet partnership. We have a $100 donation we are looking to spend, so principals can email me any particular needs that you have at your buildings, and we'll try to get you those items that you need. We are always needing to solicit donations from persons or businesses to continue to support our families in this way. So anyone feel free to email me with names of individuals or have them contact the foundation and make a donation towards that project. Also at our meeting next week, we also hope to create an organized 1% campaign to solicit parents to write letters to our legislators regarding funding. We'd really like to do that to give them the perspective of our parents in relationship to that issue. We also have two new representatives for Valley Grove, Dawn Key and Heather Poor. I don't think they're here tonight. Then, I always type up this thing and I always read it and it's so, blah, blah, blah. But as I look around tonight, I'm just gonna go a different way. I've even solicited parents tonight so I could have, because I take seriously having that perspective from them, and I wanted to share legitimate, responses from parents regarding this whole issue of what is going on with the contract, whatever you want to call it. But as I look around and as I came in tonight, I see friends, I see neighbors, I see people that I genuinely care about, teachers that I know are doing a fabulous job, who I encourage, and I encourage other parents to encourage any chance they get. And then I think I'm going to get up here and I'm going to say something. There shouldn't be anything that I should be saying from a parent perspective in this role that is going to be inflammatory or upset a teacher. We all want the same thing. We all should want the same thing. And it seems like it's confusing for parents because it seems like our students have become a pawn in this battle. And we can't, this is the biggest difference between us and other school systems, is us not being able to work together. And that's what I hear from parents who go to other schools. Many friends who I had in this very school with me, and our family who, you know, it's such a joy to go to another school system. They all work together. They all truly have their students' best interest at heart. And so in this whole battle that's going on right now, both sides are saying, we think, we want your students' education experience to be best, and this is the only way it's going to happen. And parents trust us and trust us with their children to work together. And it's just time. It's time for this to stop. It really is. And I guarantee every person in this room that if you truly do this, if you, instead of just using rhetoric, that if we truly show Anderson community and the parents and the state of Indiana that we can care about students first. It's not on a billboard that we say, I love your children, but we actually do it, and we actually show them by opening this contract and doing what needs to be done right now for our students. You will have parents that you will not be able to get off of your back. They will be so supportive, so encouraging, that's what's going to take for the next level of our students' achievement. And that's the only way it's going to happen, like it or not. I do have one parent that I wanted to share what she said, because it's a little better probably than what I've just said, but she said in her response, she was great. She sent me a whole 2 pages of talking. It's very good, and I'll send it to all of the board members or anybody that wants it, because it's very well read, but it's a little lengthy. She says, how can I trust that she has 3 students in Anderson Community Schools. How can I trust that my child and the city's children are being educated in the best way possible if there's no accountability? How many professions can you name that do not have an evaluation process? Why is it even an option to continue to not evaluate teachers who are in the position to influence our children, who do not have the maturity or discernment to evaluate for themselves if they are being taught well? Is there a more important job than teaching? Please, as a parent, can the union and administration work together instead of against each other? It is hurting all of us, teachers, parents, and mostly students. I would love to see our teachers encouraged and unified. I think evaluation invites truth, and it is truth that sets us free. It may be just what we need to be set free from the fear that holds the school system back from being all it could be. And then lastly, my son will be graduating in 2020. And I would love for all this hard work that I love doing, and I consider it a privilege to know each of the principals and it's not easy, but I consider it a privilege, but I would really enjoy it. I believe that I would like to see my son to be able to benefit from this opportunity of seeing what Everett takes really means. No excuses, no fear, period. That's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Slavin. We have quite a few people who have signed up to speak tonight in the public comment section, and we will do our best to get through as many as we can within a timely manner. I will remind everybody that has signed up to speak that when you approach the podium, we ask that you say your name and your address. We also will insist that this stay professional, respectful, productive, and that there are no personal attacks. Otherwise, we will be forced to shut it down. We also do have a 3-minute time limit that we will be strict on tonight due to the large number of people that have signed up. The first person that has signed up is Lisa Singleton Roberts.
This is intimidating. I didn't know this many people came just, my time hasn't started.
Okay.
I have it here, let me.
We do also, let me just make one more reminder, we need you to really put the microphone up to your mouth. Thanks.
Wow, this is really intimidating. I didn't expect this many people to be. I'm Lisa Singleton Roberts, and I live at 224 West Vineyard Street here in Anderson. I grew up in Anderson. This building, Forest Hills, was my elementary school. I graduated from the original Anderson High School many years ago. I left Indiana and I lived in California, New York, Ohio, and Indianapolis, where my 2 older children graduated. I made the decision to move to Anderson because my 10-year-old son, who was 5 at the time, he was having some educational challenges, and I thought a smaller city education was needed. Plus, I did pretty good here myself. When my son started attending Eastside Elementary, he faced a multitude of challenges, both physically and psychologically, that I could not understand. Over the years at Eastside, we built an educational program, or IEP, along with a lot of testing done through the school and my own private doctors for both issues. We discovered that my son was autistic, high spectrum, has speech issues, muscle disease, and lacks REM sleep. When my son was in the 3rd grade, he was unable to advance because he had F grades in math and English comprehension. I felt like a failure. I had done all that I thought I was correct as a parent. I hired my son a tutor, worked closely with the school, the doctors, etc. The second time around in the 3rd grade, everything was looking as bleak as before. No changes academically, although we had done all the adjustments in the IEP. At the end of the last year of school, I was done. I had shared with the teacher at Eastside that I plan on homeschooling my son. I saw no alternative. We had just implemented some additional changes in his IEP, and the teacher asked me to hold off, give 4th grade a chance. She felt confident that I would see results. That teacher was Sharon Turner, and she was right. Colin went from a struggling student to an A/B student this year. He is bringing consistent A's in math, B's in English comprehension, and A's in all other subjects. This would not have happened if it weren't for the tireless efforts, and I don't know if they're here tonight, but Deborah Wepler, college teacher of record, Sharon Turner, and Kelsey Eldridge, Colin's speech and social skills teacher, Donna Key is autism consultant, Dr. Val Scott, whose leadership has been invaluable, Heather Biggis, she's an exceptional teacher that has found a way into Colin's learning abilities, along with his paraeducator, Mrs. Hoovermel, Jennifer Turner. She's my son's tutor and an Anderson Middle School teacher. I bring this to your attention because these are tireless educators that never gave up, kept moving the puzzle pieces around until they figured out how they fit. Eastside Elementary is an exceptional, from the people in the front office, Heather, to the custodian, Aaron. I say this because they have all formed a cocoon around my child that makes him feel safe and accepted. I know that there's some contention about the evaluating of teachers in the upcoming election, but I can say from a first-hand experience that the educators at Eastside Elementary are set apart from their peers. Do I worry about the future, middle school, high school? Yes, I do. I would welcome evaluations for our educators. I want them to be the best compensated for their efforts. And I want the best qualified educators in our system. That is my hope that a family like mine has to ensure success for my son. This comes down to the leadership of the school board. You have created a system and environment that has allowed my son all of these resources that he needed and has forever changed his life, my life, and the life of our family. Thank you for your time.
I'm sorry, it is a bit intimidating tonight. You did very well, though. Next, we have Sally Miller.
Good evening. My name is Sally Miller, and I reside at 5057 Stone Spring Way in Anderson. And I am a very proud member of all this sea of red out here. I am a special education resource teacher at Valley Grove Elementary. I would
like to speak to you this evening about character. Unbeknownst to me, when I chose this topic a few weeks ago when I decided to speak before the board, this is National Character Education Counts Week. Character education, character counts used to be a big thing in ACS. Somewhere along the way, we've kind of lost some of that, which is disheartening in a way. But I would like to share with you a story this evening that it just happened this week, kind of changed what I was going to talk about tonight, but I think it's more meaningful. Teacher shared this with me. A student of hers was accused of being mean to another kid, teasing him, taunting him. She asked the student, "Did you do this?" And he said, "No." This kid was made quite a turnaround this past year, so she accepted his word and went on her way. About 5 minutes later, he came back to her and he said, "I have to tell you, I did really tease him. I really did make fun of him." She talked to him about making good choices, and then she said, "You showed a lot of good character today, because you accepted responsibility for what you did. You told the truth." As I've listened to everything tonight, I just have to wonder, does character still count in ACS? It does for us. I'm hoping it does for all of you. Thank you.
My name's Don Hartzell. I reside at 714 High Street here in Anderson. I am currently on my last year of the tour of PAR Consulting Teacher, and I've worked with that program now for, it'll be 2.5 years at the end of this term. I previously was an English teacher at Anderson High School. Just some very brief thoughts concerning teacher evaluation and contract, and since I'm a PAR evaluator, I believe that's a little near and dear to my heart. So forgive me to read off the script, make it quick. Well, first thing I want to point out, that's been reiterated tonight, that PAR is named specifically in the Indiana state law as an accepted form of teacher evaluation. Now, some ambiguous statements may lead some to believe ACS is out of compliance in its use of PAR, and may lead some to question its validity. Now, just to give you an idea of how it works, PAR currently requires all new hires to ACS to participate in a 1-year mentorship and evaluation program conducted by trained teacher consultants. Veteran teachers needing assistance are referred to the program by a building committee who considers each case brought to it carefully and votes whether or not to refer the teacher for a performance review. After performance reviews are conducted by consulting teachers, a board of review then hears each case and votes whether or not the teacher will be put in assistance. Now, the administration's proposal is to combine PAR with a principle-based evaluation system that I believe, in my opinion, would weaken PAR and take the peer out of the review aspect of PAR. I've also seen no mention of a first-year mentorship program such as PAR offers for new hires. This has been by far the most valuable part of the PAR program, and I believe many people would agree with that. Such a program, however, would not appear compatible with the principle-based evaluation system. I've tried to figure that out, and I don't see how that really can work. So, based on the opinion of many teachers who have successfully completed the PAR program, PAR has been a valuable help to them in their first year. Diluting it and stripping it of the peer support it offers first-year teachers can only represent a setback for the corporation. Yes, PAR still can be improved in many areas. Everybody agrees with that, even those who support it. But it would benefit us to work together to make what we have currently better. Now, one last thought. and just put this out for your consideration. In terms of the contract, as I said, I would talk about that too, but only briefly. I would consider the opinion of over 60% of respondents to a recent Herald Bulletin poll who weighed in on whether the contract should be reopened. The paper summed up their response this way, quote, "Let it be, it's a contract." Unquote.
Next, we have our Anderson High School Senior Class President, Mr. Hamilton Smith, and, or Vice President, sorry. Oh, and the Vice President there as well, Mr. Joshua Ocker.
My name is, sorry, I'm short, just like my dad. My name is Hamilton Smith. I live on 734 Forest Drive, Anderson, Indiana. And I speak on behalf of myself and Joshua Ocker. He is also the Vice President of the senior class at Anderson, and I am the President. First of all, I just kind of want to thank you guys for your continual support and dedication to the Wigwam. I spoke with you guys earlier about that, and your duties are noted. Now, let it be known, and please don't misunderstand this. I love my teachers at Anderson Community Schools throughout the entire road, and I'm grateful for them. Because of them and their influence, I am seeking a college education. You guys are great. However, school is for children, the students, the pupils, okay? I'm a senior at the high school, of course. I'm 17 years old, and I understand that in order to, one, have great teachers, which to be best in the state, and two, we must have a form of evaluation that is compliant with the law that will allow us to succeed as a school corporation. Whether we like it or not, it's the law. They've asked that we do this and be compliant with them, so I think it's a no-brainer to go ahead and do it. You know, if we don't, how are we gonna be attractive to other individuals seeking a form of, or a place of habitat in Anderson, Indiana? How is business gonna succeed in Anderson, Indiana? Who's gonna come to Anderson, Indiana if we don't have a greatly rated school corporation? And without this evaluation, like I say, whether we like it or not, how are we gonna achieve that? That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the list is Chris Ackerman.
Good evening, Board, Mr. Superintendent. Thank you for your service. I know it goes unsaid. It's a tough job, but thank you for your service. Even though we may disagree on some things, I respect what you do and appreciate your continuance from that. And Hamilton, I agree, your dad is, you are taller than your dad. Had to get that in there. Red, in my mind, stands for passion. Take a look, Board. Take a look. These are the most passionate people you will ever find. I live with one. I hear about it every day. And I love my wife. She's an outstanding teacher. And she teaches at 10th Street Elementary, which, by the way, tonight have had a lot of accolades. And I'm very, very proud of what they're doing at 10th Street. And you can applaud while I'm up here. I'm going to be brief because I know we have a lot of people on the list and some that are a little better informed on the issues of the contract. But my opinion is, as former mayor, I've dealt with a lot of unions and contracts. And my position on the current situation here is leave it alone. It was negotiated, it was stamped, it was approved. Don't distract these people for what they're doing for our kids. If you look at this sign, what does that say right there, first and foremost? It's for our kids. And I believe that every one of you should have this in your yard. Be a board member, whether you live here or not, which, by the way, I'm troubled with a board member, and I won't name any, but if we have board members, I'm sorry.
We're not gonna get into any.
I'm not gonna name any names.
attacks. We're not gonna have any personal attacks about any individuals.
My point is this: if you serve on the board and our schools are great like you say they are, I believe they are, then put your kids in our school and be proud of our system. I believe if we believe in something and we want to make it better, and as Hampton said, who's going to come to our community? As a mayor, the first question I was always asked by people looking to locate in Anderson was your public safety and your education. And Mr. Superintendent, you know it well. You've been in law enforcement. You know what I'm talking about. It's very important. I see it from both aspects. And I'm not here to try to demand jeers. And Mr. Gale, my full respect to you, I know you're trying to keep control of things. I'm not up here to do that. It's just an opinion that I have that we should support our school system in every way possible. And I believe that I do that as a husband, as a parent. I'm a graduate of Madison Heights, 1978. I've never been more proud of being a graduate of our community school system. Sometimes it's hard to back up and take a look. Don't always think you're right in every situation. Back up, slow down, and take a look at it. That's all I ask. Thank you for the 3 minutes.
Next we go to Marissa Graham.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Graham. I'm the 2305 East 550 South, Anderson, Indiana, 46017. I am the Dean at Erskine Elementary, and I'm also the Vice President of the Anderson Federation of Teachers. Wow, I'm not really sure where to start after the things that were said in the opening of this evening. I will say that I feel bullied and intimidated in the situation that we find ourselves in. I feel that way because, and talking about what other people feel as well, these teachers have come to me saying they feel the same way. They're scared to speak up. They're scared to say how they really feel. I also feel demoralized at the comment made that we as teachers don't put our students first and that we don't celebrate or want what is best for our students. Our students are what we eat, breathe, live for day in and day out, beyond the 180 days and way beyond the contractual hours. I want to refer to a letter that was finally published in the Herald Bulletin today. It actually started as a letter to the school board, which I received no responses from any of you, which I think speaks loud and clear about the relationship and where we have come. I agree, we have collaborated over the years. I say we, meaning the administration. I don't know that I've felt the support from our current board necessary for the leaders of our school system. We have a contract, and I want to go back, way back, because it was also mentioned that we haven't collaborated and we didn't respond to your desire to move from PAR and tweak it to use administrators to do yearly evaluation. We did address that. We spent the summer working on that. We knew that was a priority of our current administration and the school board. And we met and we worked with administrators on a subcommittee at at then what was called dialogue sessions. So we met separately and worked on that, and we were making great progress. We had the 4 columns. We determined what would be highly effective. We determined the rubric that would be used in the classroom, observations. We talked about, because they were priority schools, Highland and Anderson, needing this to be compliant. Excuse me? Okay. Well, what was stated today, and I feel like what's been stated often,
You're at 3
is just
minutes.
half-truths.
You can have a seat, please.
Know, everyone, that it was not the only option
Graham,
to terminate our contract,
I'm going
and
to ask
that's
you
the move
to sit
that
down,
the
or you will be
administration
removed from
and
the
the
building.
school board has decided to do on their own.
Oh, cut it out. You let other people talk. That's bullshit. Oh, come on. That's ridiculous.
You've been asked to leave the building. Please do so.
You are ridiculous.
It's become apparent.
The only person tied.
Excuse me, no, she wasn't. My watch is on every person.
Mine too.
It's become apparent.
Why did you have more than 3?
It's become apparent that there is not
No,
a
it's ours.
respectful manner, respectful individuals in this facility right now. And we will not allow this to turn into a circus. Our students deserve better than that. Our community deserves better than that.
Amen.
What we're seeing right now is embarrassing, and I've had so many teachers tell me they're embarrassed to be represented by what is happening here. They don't want theatrics, they want passion.
Why has our union membership improved in the last month?
We're standing up for what's right.
We will allow a few more comments as long as this is orderly and as long as the rules that we have set forth are abided by. If they are violated again, we will end public discussion. Ann Gillespie Rolston, you're next.
I'm Ann Gillespie. Oh, it's not on. Don't start it yet. It wasn't on. Reset. Start your timer.
I'm Ann Gillespie Ralston. I am a very proud teacher at Southview Preschool Center. My address is 5295 West 300 South Anderson. This is not my normal audience. I'm a person that normally talks to 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, but I felt compelled to come do this, even though this isn't really something I normally do, but I am passionate about my students. I represent 36 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, the very youngest in our corporation. And I want you all to know how much I love them, how much I hope for them, and please just let me teach. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to Miss Julie Wood. Is she here?
Greetings. My name is Julie Wood, and I am the choral director at Anderson High School. We also reside at 1505 North Rangeline Road. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the board and the administration for the decision last April to sustain the staffing in the music department at the high school and the middle school. I know that the board listened to parents in our community, but the board also listened to the principal last year, Terry Thompson. I know the board asked Mr. Thompson what he wanted to see happen with performing arts at the high school, and he told me that he wanted to see it continue to grow as a department, and that it was necessary to have a minimum of 3 full-time music staff. The board heard the need and responded to this need by keeping our staffing at 3 full-time music staff. I also know that the board listened to Mr. Thompson last year when he shared out areas that he needed money or support for the high school. Our graduation rate, we continued to improve last year because Mr. Thompson asked for the money to implement a credit recovery program to help students get the necessary credits for graduation. It is a spirit of teamwork between the board and our schools that have helped our system to achieve our academic growth. I have full confidence in Mr. Thompson as our superintendent that he has a vision to make our high school and school system the premier high school and our system in the county to be premier, but also in surrounding counties. He's not only visible at schools, but also at football games, community events, fundraisers, and is attending churches every Sunday in our community. He is working to make the connections in our community so our community will see ACS positively and will support ACS and what we need. It's necessary to have a good working relationship between our school board and superintendent and administration to be able to continue the positive direction we are currently on. And I stated earlier, all the statistics about our schools growing in letter grades, IRE scores continuing to climb, ECA scores soaring, suspensions declining, etc. These are all examples of positive things happening in our school system. ACS has come out of a frightening time of uncertainty since 2010. And due to great leadership from the top down, we are witnessing an amazing turnaround. I am a proud teacher of ACS, and I'm a proud parent of ACS students. And I want to see the great things continue. I don't want to return back to where we were 5 years ago, and I'm excited about the possibilities, but also a little fearful our community would not make the best decisions and give us a board administration that cannot work together. Thank you, board, again for supporting my department, the teachers and staff at ACS.
Next, we're going to Sherry Gleason. Is it Sherry or Cherie? I'm sorry if I...
Sure. That's cool. Thank you.
My name is Sherry Gleason. I'm a 6th grade teacher at Highland Middle School. I'm a proud member of Anderson Federation of Teachers. I'm also proud that you've elected me to be one of your delegates for the past several years as IFT rep and the AFL-CIO rep. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to say when I first came up here, but I do want to say that I work with teachers at Highland Middle School and staff at Highland Middle School and throughout this corporation because, yes, I have either closed down or reorganized over 2/3 of the buildings you've closed. And so I've actually become a jinx. Some people don't like me after 2 years. But with that being said, I see how the decisions of closing those schools are affecting some of our students. And it has nothing to do with our teachers. I see faces out here of people that watch TV at night while they're grading their papers, while they're making their bulletin boards, and while they're making their supplies because they don't have the money or don't have a fund to get materials for their classroom and they use their own. Oops. And so I sit here and I do the same thing. We need books. We go to half-price books at Highland Middle School for our literacy event that's coming up, and we ask them to donate for them. I applied for a grant for them. We went to First Books and we got 750 books for our literacy night. We do this as teachers, and I'm not the only one. There are lots and lots of teachers out here that do the same thing. We don't ask for anything else, and we are more than happy to collaborate, to work, to talk, and to help the administrators, the support staff, our students. And our students come first and foremost, and never once do I hear a student walk into most of these teachers' classrooms here that those teachers don't tell them, hey, how have you been? Did you have a great day? Do you need anything? And I love you. And that comes from their heart. That does not come from not collaborating. On a topic that I heard you speak about, and I'm sorry my timer went off, so I hope I'm not going over it. But one thing you said was the AFT president refused on his own to not go for the grant that you're speaking of. Let me say right now, I have been to every executive board member meeting for the past, I don't even know, 5 or 10 years now, and there has not been one decision that the board, that the officer, the president, or the officers Oh, I'm done. And the officers that did not get approved by the executive board. We approved it and we've acted.
Thank you very much. Next we have Rick Muir.
Mr. Brown, in favor of courtesy that others are given, I'd like to just make an opening statement before you start my 3 minutes.
I've started the timer for every person as they've introduced their name, and so I'm going to do the same to you. I've not started it yet, but go ahead and introduce your name.
You know, I've been told we're not going to tolerate this and that. I just want to point out a couple of things. I heard clearly, as everyone did in this room, when you want respect, you have to give it. But I've heard Tom Fortner, my daughter, DJ Sahusky, Ed Bonner, Carlin Malone. I heard the officers of the AFT, the same as being called liars about what they're saying. And Dr. Green, I have nothing but respect for you, and friends of mine that go to you as a doctor respect you, but you know, you took a personal hit on me. So I want to point that out before I start my 3 minutes. You threw a zinger at me about when I retired. Okay. You know, I'm going to be professional. You know, I don't truly blame the board for the positions you're taking because you are listening to the same players who tried to stop a contract vote in 2009. You're listening to only the side of the superintendent, the attorney, and Kevin Brown. So I'm here to respectfully ask you to please, there's two sides to every story. And I'm asking you to be a part of the solution. You can stop this attack on a contract, and I've been at the bargaining table, so I've heard it firsthand. Your superintendent said it's not, he's telling half-truths, and I've been accused of things, so I'm just telling it as it is. You can stop this attack on the contract and be a part of the solution, or you can take a stand that you're being asked to take, and you can try to avoid that contract. And let me tell you who the real losers are if you do it. It's the students. It's the students. And it's a real kick in the face to all these employees that have given back, given back, given back until you have an 11 million plus surplus in the budget. And that haven't, not talking about a raise for them, but they haven't had one in 6 years, and this same board just gave the administrators raises. So you can, and let me put the students first and tell you what happens if you void the contract, contrary to what I heard the superintendent tell the public so eloquently. Class sizes will go up, staff development will go down, teachers' assistants for special needs students will go to the wayside, teachers' and students for higher class size than normal will go to the wayside, prep time will be gone, transportation could be cut like it is in other school districts, the arts will be harmed, regardless of what you've heard tonight. The only reason right now that we have licensed music, art, and PE and library teachers is because it's in the contract that was signed by the administration. And maybe most importantly, the professional educators will lose their voice on concerns that affect their students. Look, I've been in this school business as long as anybody in this room, and I travel the state of Indiana. This is the first attempt by any school district out of 282 school districts to attempt to end the master contract.
3 minutes.
Well, I'm going to finish my comment, and you can bring them over
Mr.
and pull me
You're
out.
at 3 minutes. Please have a seat.
You know, I time people. I time people. You gave them 6 minutes and 5 minutes.
That's a lie. Mr. Muir, please
Now,
leave
I've
the
been
building.
called a liar again. I'll leave on my own. You don't need to come over.
Mr. Muir,
You can keep
please
the
exit the
handcuffs
building right now.
yourself. I know. I know. You know.
Moving on. If you'll please be seated. We've got time for just a couple more comments. Next is Mr. Kevin Smith. Sir, please be quiet. I've asked you to exit the building.
You didn't say that.
All right, Mr. Kevin Smith.
Well, let me change the tone in the room just a bit. I want to talk a little bit, just a little bit, about hope. You know, Anderson, Indiana has had a great deal of success over the last several years. Some things have changed in the city that in 1970s we would not have predicted change. We have become a global city. This city has new business from China, 2 Israeli companies, 2 Japanese companies, oh, actually 3, German company, and soon to be announced another country from Europe. Anderson, Indiana has become a city that people look at to invest their dollars here. Because we have, thankfully, for many of you in this room that are educators that have produced a good quality product, students that we have graduating from our schools. That's a good thing. That's a positive thing. That Anderson is growing, that we're attracting new business. But we're also in a very competitive situation. The city of Anderson is competitive because these companies look at this city to determine where they're going to place their $2 million or their $24 million, in the case of Nestle, almost, well, more than $700 million. And so their due diligence is done on us. And they look at our educational system and its ratings and its rankings. As a city, I want to promote Anderson to its fullest extent because we have a great location that can attract new industry. We have a great labor force, but we want to continue that stream of great quality employees for these new businesses that are coming here. So they've been some great successes where we're working in conjunction with local education. They've been mentioned here this evening. We have vocational school coming back, something that's very important to the future of this city. And we're doing that in conjunction with Anderson Community Schools and our local manufacturers. We have developed a labor board council that meets together, a business labor council that meets together and talks about the educational needs we have. So my point as mayor of the city, thank you for what you've done, and we're going further. We need to continue to propel Anderson, Indiana into next year and the next 10 years because our economic success is important.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have Amy Urbanski.
My name is Amy Urbanski and I reside at 1625 Shepherd Road. First of all, I would like to thank the Crescent School Board for all their hard work the last 4 years. Some very hard and unpopular decisions have been made under your watch. You have helped by putting people in place. For example, the Credit Recovery Program, which has increased our graduation rates. We all have to agree that we have made great strides. But as stated in the Herald Bulletin, this new group of candidates being strong-armed by the union for this upcoming election for school board, if elected, would set us back of all of this headway was for nothing. Change is not easy, but it is happening and we need to continue. It is my understanding that the collective bargaining agreement is going to be open only for the evaluation of teachers, so that our school system will be in compliance, so that we may receive federal grant money. I also know that the PAR, the Peer Assistance Review, is in place, but with the 2 evaluations working together, we can continue our forward progress. Why is there always some big controversy with the AFT and the school board? Why can't there be resolution without having to jump into a lawsuit? The Herald Bulletin has published an article that the AFT has accused the school board and Mr. Thompson of ulterior motives. Mr. Thompson has agreed to sign a waiver stating that this would be the only thing that would be addressed in the contract. What is these ulterior motives? They have never been mentioned. I see this action as bullying. There is a policy in our schools that does not tolerate bullying, but that is exactly what is being done. What does this teach our students? I believe that Mr. Thompson has what is in the best interest of our schools, and especially our kids. He has had one direction, and that is to make our schools viable. The Thompsons have shown tremendous amount of support with school functions and community activities. He attends football games and intermingles with the students and parents while there. He is well respected and appreciated by them. One night while he was walking into the football game, the student section chanted, "Mr. Thompson," several times. I feel this speaks volume. I think this shows how valuable it was for him to be principal before becoming our superintendent. So I, as a parent, am strongly requesting that the AFT allow the annual evaluation to further the progress of our schools. Any teacher that is doing their job well should not have a concern or objection. Thank you.
Forgive me if I mess this name up. Stephanie Hanauer?
You got it right.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Hanauer. My address is 3690 East, 100 South. That actually is Anderson. That doesn't sound like it. My son Isaac is a sixth grader at Highland, and my daughter Avery is a freshman at the high school. I actually have the privilege to be a para that works at Valley Grove Elementary. So I am not here to complain. I am not here to question. I only want to make a few comments. Start off saying I was never a Scot, I was never a pirate, and I was never an Indian. I actually was a Norwell Knight, which is a little bitty school up in Wells County. So I have 3 nephews and a niece that all go to small schools, graduating classes of about 200. So all of this was a little new to us when we moved here. But I do feel I have some perspective to add to everything. Both Avery and Isaac went to Valley Grove Elementary. We're very proud of that. And they were successful in their classrooms and in their I-STEP testing. Thanks really goes out to Principal Jan Kenniger and her awesome team of teachers and staff. They never settle for less than their best, and it's true. As an employee there, I'm excited and I'm happy to be a part of the team. They make me feel supported and just like I'm one of the gang, so it's great. The care for education didn't stop at Valley Grove. It continued at Highland. Avery went to Highland. She had a terrific time. She took full advantage of honors courses. She's already passed the ECA for algebra, and she's a member of the Junior National Honor Society. And she's really always felt like she was supported there. Teachers, staff, deans, counselors, everyone. It was great. Isaac's only tasted a little bit of Highland because he just started. He's having a wonderful time with the High Ability Program, loves the teachers, comes home smiling every day, tells me something great that happened in class. He's really making strides, and he's hoping to do all the honors program and take full advantage for his footsteps into the future, right? Okay. Like many parents, I was really nervous about having a freshman. We did freshman orientation. We were worried about the new principal. Searched everywhere for her locker and looked at how large the upperclassmen were when we walked around. But a great thing happened. Avery got settled in, was happy after just a week or two. At every turn, there was a staff member or a tribe chief smiling, offering help. We met Mr. Brandon and his lovely family, got acquainted. Avery's told me a lot of times how she really enjoys being an Indian. She feels like it's a real community there. I think they're making great strides. Education's great. She's taking full advantage of honors courses there and college credit.
You are.
Okay, I'm done? All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
We have Avery Hanauer.
Hello, my name is Avery Hanauer. I live at 3690 East, 100 South, in Anderson also. I am currently a student at Anderson High School, class of 2018, and I love it so far. I would like to tell you about my experiences at Anderson High School. I went to Valley Grove Elementary for kindergarten to 4th grade. I also enjoyed my time there and made many friends that I still have today. I also think that many of the wonderful teachers I had at Valley Grove helped prepare me for high ability classes. All in all, I had a wonderful time at Valley Grove. The class of 2018 was one of the classes that was moved around a lot. However, I still had a good experience during these changes. I was sent to Northside Intermediate School for 5th and 6th grade. I was glad to go to the other side of town and introduce me to a whole new group of students and teachers I have never met before, including my best friend, who I met in 5th grade and I'm still friends with. I also was privileged to have Mr. Creveston as my dean. He always made me feel welcome and like I was part of the family. I am happier and more open-minded than I was before I went to Northside. When I went to Highland for 7th and 8th grade, I was nervous about the big building and honors classes. I soon found out that I had nothing to worry about. The teachers were very welcoming and I managed the building just fine. I even made new friends I wouldn't have met before. Highland had amazing teachers and great upperclassmen. I have been welcomed by all the students and teachers at Anderson High School. My first few days, I was scared, I'll admit, but every morning I saw Mr. Tiarina, one of the vice principals. Mr. T always smiled and said hello. He made me feel welcome. I also got to know Mr. Brandon and his family. I know that he cares about the students in the school. In just the first 9 weeks, I have learned so much from the teachers and upperclassmen. My experiences at ACS have been nothing but good, and I can't wait to graduate from Anderson High School. Thank you.
Next we have Greg Winkler.
Good evening. My name is Greg Winkler. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Anderson. I reside at 12478 Ox Landing in Fishers, Indiana. I'm here to thank you for what you've done over the course of the last 2 years as a board, and I'm here to challenge you as a community. This community is moving forward. You're seeing change. You're seeing companies come from around the world to locate here, and they're coming because of the labor force and the workforce that we have. We hear that from the companies that we talk to. This particular issue, workforce development, the young men and women that you're training as teachers and as educators and as board members that you're leading, these young men and women, our workforce of tomorrow, are the key to the future success of this community. We hear it constantly from every single employer in our community, from Nestle on down. The quality of the workforce is everything. So we're asking you, I'm asking you to please continue what you're doing. Please continue the collaboration with the City of Anderson, with our economic development effort, with Purdue, with Anderson University, and all of the various ways that you're working with us. It's working, it's making a difference. And this community is now at a point where you get to make a decision as to what you want to be in the future, whether or not you want to take that next step into greatness. And I challenge you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winkler. This is Jan Kinniger.
My name is Jan Kinniger. I'm the principal at Valley Grove Elementary School. I live at 224 North John Street, Pendleton. I am really here not for anything that everybody else is here for, but I'm here to report on someone, Luda Ranahan, who is a para at Valley Grove Elementary School, and the mother of James Ranahan, wanted me to deliver this message because she could not be here. James is a junior at Anderson High School and was trying out for the football team when he started to feel sick. He was diagnosed with leukemia July 30th. On August 27th, he had complications with his chemo and suffered a code red. They revived him and he went to the ICU unit at Riley. The Anderson Community School Corporation has stepped up to help this family. James celebrated his 16th birthday in the ICU unit. As Luda stated, having a son who became so sick has been a roller coaster for our family. The Anderson community and the Anderson Community School Corporation has become our rock in life. Students at Anderson High School have gone above and beyond to help our family and James to realize that we are not alone. Kids got together and designed t-shirts to sell at school to help us financially. The football team sold bracelets and made a video to tell James that they were thinking and praying for him. On his 16th birthday, students at Anderson High School sang happy birthday to him on a video. Valley Grove teachers and staff have helped raise money for financial support along with cards, prayers, and positive thoughts. Other teachers, principals, and staff all over town have showed support with cards and donations. Mr. Thompson helped organize a fundraiser with the staff at this administrative building to help financially. Anderson High School has now organized a blood drive to help kids like James who have to have blood transfusions daily. Trying to get through this. Last Thursday, the doctors performed a bone marrow to determine what his next chemo treatment would be. The results on Friday told us that he has no leukemia cells and he is in remission. On Monday, they started a new round of chemo, which they will administer for the next 5 days for free, 5 weeks. Everyone is wishing for better results than last time. We are still in the hospital under doctor's care, and James will soon go under some acute rehab. We hope to be home in about 2 weeks if everything goes well. The people at Valley Grove and Anderson Community Schools and in this downtown administration has raised money to help repair their furnace at home, which they did not have. They helped repair the refrigerator that was not working. They have provided support financially for medical bills, for transportation down there, and for all kinds of things that this family has needed. And I'm going to tell you that as a person that is very proud to be in Anderson Community Schools, the kids at Anderson High School and the school corporation get a bad rap for a lot of things. But I'm telling you right now, I would put those Anderson High School students up against any student, any school in the state to do what they did to this student. Luda would like to be here. She has not left Jane's side since July 30th. She has been there every minute in that hospital, and she has stayed with her son for the whole time. She wanted to say that the people of Anderson that we don't even know are praying for us and for James' healthy return. We are so blessed. Thank you to everyone associated with the Anderson Community School Corporation, Mr. Thompson, the board, the Anderson High School administration, football coaches, football teams, student body, Valley Grove staff and students, and everyone else in this corporation who has sent cards, who has prayed, who has sent money. They really appreciate it. They could not have done it without you. Please continue to keep James in your thoughts and prayers while we still fight this disease. And the only thing I can say is, James strong.
Thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Next, we have Terry Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Gale, Dr. Thompson, friends and colleagues. It's been about 12 years since I've had the pleasure of standing in front of the Board of Trustees and many of my friends to speak to you about educational issues. And while, yes, I'm here, one, as an elected official, more importantly, I'm also here as a very, very concerned community citizen, a parent, a taxpayer. I've had a number of people reach out to me in the community, realtors, professional folks, and others, to ask my thoughts and opinions about what's transpired over the last several weeks. You know, I have a joke that I use when I talk to people when I'm introducing myself. I said, I used to teach students who are identified as emotionally handicapped. It was the best training ground for the General Assembly you could have ever had. The problem is we're missing a timeout chair at the State House. Maybe that's what we need here. And I say that with all due respect and fondness. Because tonight emotions are high. The rhetoric is thick. There have been dispersions, insinuations, and assassinations of character across the board. We can do better, and we have to do better. The truth is, I took it upon myself to reach out to the Department of Education to find out exactly what the facts were regarding the situation about evaluation. While yes, Anderson Community Schools does not have an annual evaluation at this point, it must be in compliance by the 2015-2016 school year in order for the state to meet ESEA flexibility requirements. And that will be part of the Title I flexibility. I'm sure you all are aware of that. But what I would encourage you all to do, because what I just heard from my dear and longtime friend Jan Kinniger, is that we are a family here. We are a family. We care about one another. Yes, sometimes we fuss and feud. And sometimes it's like a family reunion when somebody brings out the alcohol and everything rapidly deteriorates. Some of you must know what that's like. So I'm encouraging that everybody gets a do-over at this point. A do-over. Let's set the hard feelings aside. Let's take whatever legal advice or admonitions you've been given, because let me tell you something. The problem is, you ask 10 attorneys, you're going to get 10 different opinions, and that's something I do know a little bit about. Let's go back to the table. Let's find a way to meet both the spirit and intent of what the statute, which I did not necessarily vote for, but I understand what's going on here. The truth is, test scores are not and never will be the only adequate measure of a teacher's effectiveness. Thank you for your attention.
In the interest of time, we're going to take one more comment from Mr. Tim Lannon.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of the board. Tim Lannon, 2310 West 12th Street, Anderson, Indiana. Proud graduate of the Anderson Community School System, class of 1970. 1970. And also the father of 3 proud graduates of the Anderson Community School. I was listening very carefully when Superintendent Thompson was giving his opening statement, and I was very, very impressed and pleased with what I heard in terms of the improvement that has been achieved over the last period of time. And certainly I've been able to follow in the paper some of the accomplishments that have occurred. So I want to echo just a few things that maybe Terry Austin said. My experience at the Indiana General Assembly is that there is a certain perception of what's going on in the Anderson Community Schools. And as Superintendent, I think you said it well, it's all about image. And for the life of me, I hope, if there's nothing else we walk out of here this evening with, and I don't know if the media is still here or not, but I wish we'd start talking about how this community school system is improving, and it has improved. And it has improved because of the hard work of the people on this board, the administration, and the teachers, and the staff. And you all should be complimented for that. We've done so much. We've accomplished so much. Now, in terms of this issue that's before you, before the community, there are a couple of observations that I'm going to make. These are just opinions of mine, but they're things I very much believe in. One is simply this. You're not going to resolve any of this unless both sides have respect for the other side and the other side's position. They listen, and they're willing to compromise. If you can do that, I'm sure you can find a solution to this. The other observation I have, something which I firmly believe in, I believe in contracts. The essence of contracts are promises, and promises should be kept. The threat to end a contract is, in my opinion, in itself disrespectful of the other side. And so I would ask this board to withdraw that threat. Representative Austin talked about the fact that you can instead enter into a memorandum of understanding. And I've heard both sides on this, that there were some discussions to try to do this, do that. I don't know what happened. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think you should leave here. You know, if you all can come together and have done what you've done to improve this system, I have every confidence in your ability to work this out. Now the community is looking to you, it's looking to the teachers and its leadership to come together at this point, and it's very, very important that we do that. So I have confidence with you if you'll have respect for each other's opinions, each other's side, dial the rhetoric back, calm down the emotions, take a time out, as Representative Austin says, and then let's get back together and get this resolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Anderson Federation of Teachers, Tom Fortner.
Not used to sitting on the floor. Takes a while to get up. Thank you. We've heard a lot of comments tonight. We've heard from state senator, state representative. We've heard from the president of AFT Indiana. We've heard from a number of parents. We've heard from a number of teachers. What I hope happens is that you as the board have listened and understand why this is all happening. I think probably the last two speakers have probably summed it up fairly well. I think there does need to be collaboration. And I will stand here and say that the Anderson Federation of Teachers has collaborated, at least in the last 4 years that I've been in this position. I don't know how we would have gotten to where we are today if that had not have occurred. We have achieved much. Our schools are successes. And I agree with everyone who said we need to start celebrating those successes. We should. We're probably the best kept secret in terms of a school district in the state of Indiana. We have excellent elementary schools. Our middle school is not where it needs to be yet, but it's working hard to get there. Our high school is at least, I think, a C, but I'd like to see it higher as well. And so would the staff there. It's how do we get there? At the table, things have happened. Yes. There has been a proposal on the table submitted by ACS that the length of the current CBA would end on December 31st, 2014. What that tells us as the AFT is that on December 31st, 2014, the CBA or contract, as we know it, would effectively be gone. Have we gone out and said, oh, let's go and tell everybody that they want to take it away? Not necessarily, no. It's a proposal on the table. But as a proposal on the table, I don't have any other way to interpret that other than ACS wants it. And if we would accept it, the contract would be gone. December 31st, 2014. I listened to the comments from Dr. Green. And I do think it's good to tell the truth. And I don't know where he got the information from. I'm not party to that. But I do know that last year I did have a meeting with Dr. Edsel and with the assistant superintendent. And there was a little discussion about signing off on an MOU. And my response was, no, the AFT was not interested in signing an MOU for a SIG grant until we knew had more information on what all that would entail. Was I ever asked for any further conversation? No. So to say that we have not entertained the thought, I don't think it's an accurate portrayal of what has been said tonight. That was the last time I was asked to enter into any conversation about that. And as I recall, in the time before that, there was another discussion. And again, it was asked if the AFT would entertain into signing an MOU for a SIG grant. And I said, same thing. No, not without more information to know what that entails. If that's being unwilling and not open to conversation, then so be it, but I don't see it that way. ACS and AFT have worked collaboratively for the last 4 years. We would not, and I repeat this, have gotten where we are without them. We have been willing. But it has to be collaboration. Collaboration is not one-sided. It's not our way or the highway. It's not your way or the highway. It has to be both sides agreeing to give a little and to give a little. Eliminating the contract, in our mind, doesn't do that. It's been said tonight that the AFT has bullied our own members, our own colleagues, into not speaking here tonight because we would take care of them or something. I have no idea. The reason I have no idea is because that's never been anything that the membership has ever been told by me as an officer or any other officer or any member of the exec board or any building rep in our membership. So I don't know where that rumor comes from, but I can tell you it is a rumor. We are not going to go out and bully our own members. It's counterproductive. We have said that we would be willing to sit down and work on evaluation. And to the best of my knowledge, I think that is going to happen in the near future. We are also on record as having stated that we believe that we want Highland Middle School and we want Anderson High School, the priority buildings, to be in compliance. It does no good for our membership or our students if we're not in compliance. We have worked, I know at Anderson High School because I teach there, to come up with a good plan for our priority program. And it is working. So we are willing to get there. If Representative Austin is correct in her comment tonight that in 2015-16, and I believe that's what she said, it is required by state law that every school corporation evaluate their teachers on an annual basis, then guess what? We will have to be in compliance. The AFT can't be contrary to what state law is. But having said that, we do have an evaluation program in place. It's called Peer Assistance and Review. And it has been successful. Every one of our teachers, every day that they're in the classroom, is under scrutiny. All a teacher or a building administrator has to do is take their name to the building rep committee, and that can be moved forward through the PAR process. Has it worked? I think very well. I can tell you, I've been a teacher for 38 years, almost 39 years, in Anderson Community Schools. And in the first 35 years or so, prior to the time we brought PAR to the system, I can't mention the name of any one individual who was ever fired or not renewed for lack of competence. In the 4 or 5 years now that PAR has been in place, more teachers have been let go for lack of competence than the entire collection of those years. The PAR system works. It also has great success, and that's been mentioned tonight as well. All our first-year teachers go through the PAR process as interns the first year. It's made a world of difference for many of those teachers. So, from our perspective, you need to understand, if you would, why we think PAR works. We've gotten our buildings to the point where they're at today, which really is we've gotten our students to be successful at the rate they're successful today because of the effort of all of these teachers, and by using the PAR process and also the 8-step process, which the AFT played a great role in bringing to Anderson Community Schools. I'll try to take the high road. There are other comments that I would like to make. I'll digress from those and just end with this. Teachers need the respect that they deserve. They seldom, if ever, get it. Thankfully, there are some parents, and some of them are here tonight, who do show the respect for teachers that they deserve. But the politicians, no offense, Terry and Tim, have not been that kind to us at the federal level, at the state level. We need to respect our teachers. That's also a two-way street. The school board administration deserves respect as well. I understand that. But we need to start working together, as I've heard said many times tonight, and collaborating and working together, again, I'll repeat it, means sometimes we all have to give a little, and sometimes, therefore, we'll all give a little. Hopefully, that's going to happen. The reason these people are here tonight is because we haven't seen it, at least in our perspective, taking place yet. We hope that starts tonight. We hope we've made at least some impression on the board and the administration. Thank you.
We're going to move on to topics for discussion. We do have a presentation on District 26, an update by Mrs. Morris.
I am going to make this short because I know it's been a long evening. But I do, I cherish the opportunity to be able to share with this board, with the people that are left in the room, that District 26 Career Campus is up and going, and it is thriving, albeit small right now. It is in a place where every day we see growth. We see students that are becoming future workers, that are learning lessons that they really can only learn in the atmosphere that they're in. I do want to make a plea because I'm hoping that Mrs. Austin and Mr. Lehman are still here. I was at an iActive board meeting today as the director of District 26, and I implore you to please talk about how important career and technical education is. We talked about $100 million that we budget in the state of Indiana for career and technical education, and it's not enough. I can tell you firsthand from somebody who's taught English for 16 years that when I look at equipment that is necessary to be able to train our students, coming into a building on a very small pallet, and it's $13,000 worth of equipment that's about this big, $100 million doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it. And I know that I'm never Mr. Brown's favorite person because all I want to do is spend money. But unfortunately, this is an endeavor that takes money. It takes money from our school. It takes money from our community. It takes money from our students. And I'm learning very quickly how vitally important that money is. We have students that need career and technical education. We see every day students that come to the Career and Technical Education Center and are utilizing all of those skills that they're being taught from kindergarten, from preschool, all the way up to 10th grade and 11th grade. And we see them, the light bulbs coming on, because they finally understand why it is they learned what they learned in English, or they learned what they learned in algebra. And I was not a stellar high school student, and I hated math, but had I been in a career program, I probably would have understood it a little bit better. And that's what we see on a daily basis. And probably the most important thing I want you to see on this PowerPoint is what the kids are doing, because every day, my wonderful career counselor is out taking pictures and visiting the programs and seeing what our kids are doing. These are the kinds of things our kids are doing. This is not a very good picture. However, it is our criminal justice program. I was just glad that Officer Cleckley was not in uniform at the time. But they're doing hands-on things. They are taking what they're learning in the classroom and they're going to places like GTI and seeing how it's put in place. Right now, we are currently running 6 programs at the career campus. We're running 2 off campus and 3 at the high school. Hopefully, one day those will all be together. We are doing more than just teaching automotive collision or automotive service, and more than just manufacturing, we're now going to be looking at soft skills. We're going to be looking at implementing into every curriculum the skills that every student needs in order to be successful. That's what they're doing for 3 hours a day at the Career Campus. We have now a work-based learning specialist who's coming in and is going to begin to make even closer ties with our community, because what we're going to be asking of our community members is to hire our students, but first give them the opportunity to be interns. Give them the opportunity to really see the importance of what they're doing. And show them we do have the skills and we can do it, and we are the future workforce. And that's why these programs are so important. We're going to start implementing project-based learning across the spectrum. Not only with CTE, but also through high school classes, through middle school classes. I hope that one day we can turn and look and say, project-based learning really is the way our students need to learn. And we're starting that process by putting the money into looking at as somebody who's going to know about it and teach other teachers. That's the way we need to grow. We need to grow from within. Two things that the state of Indiana has done for us recently to show us that they have confidence in what we're doing in Anderson. We received the CECI grant, which I talked about a couple months ago. And that grant is what's funding the manufacturing program. And that grant is what's funding project-based learning coach and work-based learning specialist. But that grant is going very quickly. I think really what we need to see is that these are our students. These are our students that are learning skills that they're going to use for the rest of their lives. And I would take any one of our CNA students and say, you can take care of me anytime. Not only are we trying to establish what we have currently, but now we're talking about next year already. And we're talking about bringing back our construction technology program, which used to be building trades. We're bringing back welding in a partnership with Ivy Tech. And let me say that without partnerships like that, we couldn't do it, because if it wasn't for Ivy Tech, we wouldn't have the equipment to have a welding program. We're going to look at a program that has not been something that's been high on our priority, but it is for a lot of our students, because with only one high school now, we have a group of students that agriculture is their life. And we need to start meeting the needs of all of our students, not just a few of them. So we're going to bring in agriculture, and we're going to look at it as an agribusiness program and incorporate some different areas of agriculture. We're continuing to build our partnerships with the City of Anderson. We're looking at possible off-site locations for culinary arts, looking at real-world applications for our culinary arts program. And we're trying to make sure that we put our kids in the best possible environment we can for them to learn what they need to learn. So if that's off-site, that's off-site. We're bringing in biomedical into the high school as a project Lead the Way, to partner to be with our aerospace program. We have budding engineers at our high school. We are looking at really growing that partnership again with the city to get our students involved in the radio and television. We want our students to be those community members. We want them so entrenched in our community that they don't want to leave. So, Mr. Thompson and the board have given us a goal as a career and technical education program that next year our goal is to have 100 sending students from outside of Anderson coming to our program. We currently have students from Pendleton, Mount Vernon, Eastern Hancock, Daleville, Alexandria, LaPel, and Franklin. They're coming to Anderson because we have what they need. And they can't get it where they are. We have another goal to increase our enrollment of ACS students by 100. I don't think that's going to be very difficult. That was a really low. But however, when they see what our students are doing, when they see what opportunities they have, I think it's a matter of finding out how to utilize what it is they've been doing so long in the classrooms and what they've been learning, and that's all we want from them. So these are just kind of pictures of us in progress. But please feel free to come out and look, come out and visit, see what it is, see what it's like. We try to take our programs out to the elementaries, to the middle school. We want everybody to see what we're doing. So, questions or comments? Sorry, I tend to get on it so far.
Any board members have any questions or comments?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Neal. Now we come to the exciting part of the agenda, the consent items. Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Brown, would you share a financial report, please? Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'd like to direct the board's attention to page 40 on the business report. I would like the board to make a recommendation to the board to approve the payment of claims you received from your mailing, number 47,793 through 48,380.
Is there a motion? So moved. A motion by Mr. Long. Second by Mr. McGee. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I'd like to ask the board to turn to page 5. You'll find the next curricular claim, and I bring that to the board for recommended for approval, number EC 2014-02.
So moved. Motion by Mr. Long, second by Mr. McGee. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Curtiston, I know we have some people have been waiting a long time to be introduced tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'd like to direct the board's attention to the Human Resource Report on page 7, accompanying resolution 2014-56 on page 10. We have following personnel actions: retirement, Laura Finch Baker; leave of absence continuing, Penny Mack; changes of assignment, Kay Winter Kay Winter 2, project-based learning coach, and Alan Pickett 2, instructional coach with Anderson High School. Resignation, Ms. Peters; leave of absence, Ms. Norris Manford; continuing, uncertified new hires, Amber Baker, Laura Christensen, Jesse Cunningham, Tamara Keelich, Shelby Kirkwood, Jerome McGraw, Ashley Pickering, David Hyde, Robert Polstra, Kathleen Register, Jessica Stewart, Joseph Swallows. Certified new hires, Dana Beatty, Janita Jones, Christy Kidd, Dan Malloy. Resignation, non-certified, Angela Smith and Fag. And non-certified new hires, and we have a couple in the audience, Treva Bostic and Edward Fry. Ms. Lustig, you going to stand up, please? Ms. Lustig will be the new behavior specialist for the corporation. Mr. President, recommend passage of resolution R-2014-56.
Motion for approval by Mr. Long. Second by Dr. Green. Is there any discussion or question? Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Glaze.
Yes, I'd like to bring the board's attention to page 11, 12, and 13 of your booklet, which are the field trips and also professional development opportunities for the brevity's sake. I will go ahead and ask for the approval of resolution R-2014-57.
Motion to approve by Mr. Long. Second by Mrs. Shaley. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Mrs. Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'd like to bring the board attention to page 31 of the packet, the authorization to sign agreements for alternative services and private residential school placements. The Board of School Trustees of the Anderson Community School, by a vote October 21st, 2014, meeting hereby authorize the following person to sign agreements for alternative and private residential school placements as a designee for the president of the school board. I just need a vote on that so I can sign the excess cost applications.
So moved. Motion to approve by Mr. Long. Second by Mr. McGee. All in favor say aye. And all opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
There are no grievances or old business. Is there any new business or items for future agenda?
We just want to remind everyone that tomorrow night, the NAACP is hosting a Meet the Candidate Forum at Anderson High School in the auditorium beginning at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Is there a motion to adjourn? So motion by Mr. Long, second by Mrs. Shaley. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you very much.